It's time for the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network, powered by the staff at Race Chaser Online. Your motorsports, your way, every day. And now, here's your host, Tom Baker.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Stock Car Show as we kick off another episode here on the Performance Motorsports Network. I am Tom Baker, and Jacob Seelman sitting next to me at the Race Chaser table inside the Race Chaser studio in Mooresville, North Carolina. And we are live on the Race Chaser Media Facebook page as well. So if you are listening live or watching live, we thank you for doing that. And we're glad to have you here as we get another show started for the evening. And we've got actually a hat trick of special guests. We're going to talk to Drew Dollar coming up in just a few moments. Drew is one of the drivers in the DGR Racing stable.
DGR Crosley.
DGR Crosley.
Don't
That's right. I forgot
don't forget
the Crosley
about
part.
yeah. Don't forget about Bo Lamastus.
Yeah, I can't forget about
now.
Crosley. That's important. Sorry, Bo. But Drew Dollar going to be joining us. He has been running in the K&N Pro East Series and raced at South Boston this weekend. We've got David Latour joining us a little later. David picked up the limited late model win in that portion of the race at Ace, which featured the Cars Tour late models, and we'll talk about that show later on as well. And then Derek Kraus, who picked up one of the two wins in the K&N Pro East Series at South Boston over the weekend.
Also, sorry, I got completely distracted noticing the fact that you redecorated while I was gone.
Yes, we did a little redecorating. We've got some cars up there at the
yes,
front of the
we
table.
do. A championship Bobby Labonte car.
Complete with a slot for coins.
Yes,
it's like a
it's
a Bobby bank.
It's a coin bank.
Yeah.
The Dale Earnhardt Olympic scheme, and I'm gonna have to look up what year that was run off the top of my head. And then everybody was discussing why everybody was discussing that particular. Oh, duh, because May the 4th be with you.
Correct.
I knew there was a reason I saw that scheme show up on social media over the weekend.
Correct.
My brain is just tired.
Yes.
I missed Star Wars Day, and I'm one of the biggest Star Wars junkies there is. So
well, yeah, you missed Star Wars Day. You were otherwise occupied, yelling and screaming into a microphone.
I was watching Sprint Cars put on a great show in Anderson.
Yes, the must-see racing sprint car tour, which you are, of course, the voice of, and so you were announcing on Saturday.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to get distracted
That's okay.
and take away from the show.
That's all
right. It
was
just like, wait a minute, this is new.
So, so we have Drew joining us, and David joining us, and Derek Kraus joining us, and we're going to have ourselves a good time. So let's get into this. We had a race today that was supposed to be yesterday, but Mother Nature decided otherwise. It just wouldn't quit raining in Dover, which is kind of getting to be commonplace lately. And so we ended up having a race today, and I don't know, I guess I think we have differing opinions. You said you didn't like it, and I actually thought it was a pretty good show, honestly.
Well, see, you've been quick to complain about most of the racing this year, and then when we put on what was, in my opinion, one of the worst races of the entire season to date, you look at me and go, it was a good race. No,
I didn't say it was good. I said pretty good.
Well, there was about 25.
Okay.
There was about 25 laps of that race that was what I would term pretty good. The rest of it stunk. Chase Elliott leading for 107 straight laps to start that race stunk. Clean Air being even more king than it's ever been at Dover stunk. Track position being everything stunk. I'm not going to say Martin Truex Jr. winning stunk because that didn't stink for him, and I think I would probably get shot and thrown in the corner by some Joe Gibbs Racing people for suggesting
I would agree.
that. But I do have to say, he kind of did stink up the show a little bit in the last stage of that race. Led 132 of the last 161 laps and ran off by 9.5 seconds over Alex Bowman. I don't begrudge Martin Truex Jr. that victory one bit, but doggone was that painful to watch for the last 100 laps, because
Yeah,
you
it
pretty much
was.
knew what was going to happen.
I'm going to tell you again, I think the biggest problem is that we've gotten the cars so good now that we just don't have spin outs, we don't have crashes. You have to either blow a tire or blow a motor. You have some sort of a mechanical deal, or somebody's got to hit you in the back to spin you out.
I thought
You
thought Landon Castle was going to do the blowing the motor part at the end. That car sounded ugly.
Man, oh man. It sure did. That Starcom Chevrolet was seeing stars at the end.
It was. He made it to the end, though.
Falling star. But he did make it to the end. That is correct. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard when you don't have caution flags in these NASCAR races. In today's day and age, they just spread out, basically just race. In often cases, not even racing each other. It's just single file, and you get a guy like Martin who's running well. It wasn't that Alex Bowman wasn't running equal times. He was. But once Martin got out there in the lead, there was no opportunity for Bowman to close the gap and have a shot at it.
Yep.
I think had there been a caution, say inside of 20 laps to go, then we might have had a really interesting race to the finish there.
We might have.
But as it was, Truex ended up winning, and you know what? Good for him. I mean, you can't take it away from him.
No, not at all. And this, Mike Joy said it perfectly. Sometimes I kind of scoff and shake my head at some of the isms that Fox uses, but Mike got this one right. We ought to just start calling him Monday Martin, because he's won the last 2 Dover Cup races that have been pushed to Monday by weather. He's won 3 Dover Cup races overall. And as he said after the race, I'm just going to, he said he even won an Xfinity race that had been pushed to Monday at Dover once. So Martin's plea to Dover after the race was, let's just put all your races on Monday so I can keep winning. But, this is big for him. Joe Gibbs Racing now has 3 cars this season with multiple victories. We're only 11 races in. I hope people understand how impressive of a feat that really is, because that boggled my mind a little bit, honestly, when you consider that this is just the 4th time in the history of NASCAR, and the first time since 2007 that we've had one team win 7 or more of the first 11 races of the season. The last team to do it was Hendrick Motorsports in 2007. So if you still doubt that JGR is on an absolute hot streak to open this year, hello, check the numbers.
Yeah, and the thing is again, I think, today they benefited from the lack of caution flags. Truex got out front, and nobody could catch him to challenge him. So, I don't really know exactly how to quantify that, other than to say congratulations, Martin Truex. You have certainly earned the honor of winning that race, and you did it the right way. I mean, he just went out and stomped him.
He did. Now, a couple things I want to note. There's one kind of good side and one not so good side to this race. The good side was that I was pleased to see that everybody made it through with really no battle scars after what a lot of guys geared up for calling one of the most physical Dover Cup races in the history of the track, because the average pace of the race for most of it was equal to qualifying laps from a year ago. I mean, they were the center of the corner speeds were up so much, they were absolutely flying around this racetrack. So I was happy to see that, nobody was really the worse for wear, all things considered, because it was a very tough race from what I was hearing over the scanner and on the radio for most of the day. The downside to this is looking at the non-pointy end of the field, which would be the back of the field, and considering this, you had Cody Ware, who finished a 400-lap race 17 laps down, and his best speed was 10 miles an hour slower than most of the rest of the pack. You had Reed Sorensen, whose best speed was similarly slow compared to the rest of the pack, finished 43 laps down, and a lot of drivers wondering why the heck he was even out there. And you had Quinn Houff for sure, and BJ McLeod may have been as well. I have to look into it. But you had Quinn Houff, who was very clearly parked for not being able to maintain minimum speed, and his best speed was not even 150 miles an hour during that race. Dover is a place where the closing rate is particularly concerning.
It is. Yeah.
And that watching some of the slow traffic during the course of this race was almost a little terrifying for me as an observer, because there were a few times when I did, even openly as I was watching it, question why minimum speed was as high as it was, because there were several drivers out there who I just absolutely, and I'm not going to name names, but there were a few cars out there that were absolutely rolling chicanes during that race. And for me, I very much felt like it was borderline safety issue.
Well, I don't disagree. And I think that's something that NASCAR really needs to crack down on. I remember, I don't know if it was Dover or Loudon, not a bunch of years ago, where Morgan Shepherd was just obnoxiously slow and in the way.
I think it was Loudon.
It might have been Loudon. I mean, you just can't have that.
No.
And, you know, these teams that are basically, some of them are nothing more than glorified starting parks. You know, if you can't keep up, you know, you got to pull it off.
Yeah,
it's as simple
absolutely.
as that.
Speaking of Morgan Shepherd, case in point that we can talk more about later, but Kyle Busch tying him for the most consecutive top 10s to start a Cup Series season with 11 in a row today. He barely did it. He finished 10th, but he did it. And that kind of consistency is mind-boggling. I know I used that term once earlier in this show already, but it really is mind-boggling to me, the kind of start that they've put together. We can talk more about that later, because coming up, we've got Drew Dollar.
Drew Dollar, right around the turn. We're going to step aside more with the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com. Go look them up. We'll be right back.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control, and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
Hi, this is Denny Hamlin. I want to share with you today a little known but widely pervasive neurological disorder called dyspraxia. It's estimated that dyspraxia affects between 4 and 10% of the general population, and the majority of those affected are male. The condition primarily affects motor skills, but also can affect memory, judgment, and executive function. It's sometimes referred as the hidden disability because it's not immediately obvious to others that the person affected has special needs. My niece Sarah has dyspraxia, and with the proper support in place, she is very successful in school and other activities. Sarah was lucky because she was diagnosed early. Many children and adults go years without knowing. Let's raise awareness for this disability that affects 1 in 11 people. I encourage you to learn more, get involved, and support the Dyspraxia Foundation USA. Thank you.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
This is Anthony Alfredo, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman, along with Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch on the other side of the glass in the tech shed. As we continue with the program, I believe we do have a strutmasters.com hotline guest in Drew Dollar. And glad to have Drew back on. I think Drew's been with us one other time, and he is a part of the DGR Crosley Racing NASCAR K&N Pro Series East lineup. Had a couple of race events at SoBo, otherwise known as South Boston Speedway, over the weekend. Drew, welcome back to the program. Good to have you back, my friend.
Yep, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you back on the show. Talk a little bit about how South Boston went for you. And, I mean, this is your first go-around, right, in the K&M Pro East Series. So you're racing on some of these tracks for the first time. And I know I've been to South Boston a couple of different times for the K&N Series races there and love it every time I go. Wasn't able to get there this time, but talk about your weekend and also your season to date.
Yes, sir. Well, this weekend was a little bit disappointing. We showed up on Friday and had a 3-hour test, and we were actually really fast. DGR guys brought me a really fast car, and we were one of the faster cars there the whole day. And then, so the race was on Saturday, and we went into practice on Saturday. Decent. First practice, I think we were fourth, and ended up qualifying on the front row, second place. So everything was kind of going all right early in the weekend. And then once we started the first 100-lap race, I didn't get the best restart, but I ended up finally getting back to second and kind of just riding there for a little bit, trying to be really smooth and save my stuff. And I ended up near the end of the race getting spun out, or not getting spun out, but getting put up into the wall. And that kind of ended our night for that race one. And then we ended up getting some rain during the second race when we had to hop in the backup car, and had to finish that up on Sunday. And just, car was fast, but didn't have as much speed as the primary car did, just because we didn't get to work on it the whole weekend.
Drew, I know when we talked back at the DGR Crosley Open House here before the start of the season, you had told us then that you only had a handful of races for sure in the K&M Pro Series East, and I'm not sure that any of us expected you to be sitting here having run not only all 4 races so far this year, but to have 3 top 10s and the second best qualifying record of anybody in the series through the first 4 races. Have you kind of surprised yourself so far with what you've been able to string together here?
Well, I think that I've always had confidence in myself to go out and perform, but I'm kind of just been disappointed lately in kind of how the finishes have come at the end of the races. But yeah, we've put together some strong qualifying efforts. You know, early in the season, we weren't thinking I was going to run the full K&N season. Now it's looking like that's what I'll end up doing, but we'll just have to see. But yeah, I mean, they bring me fast cars. DJR Cross, they brings fast cars to the racetrack every weekend. So, and they really coach me up before every race. So when you're showing up with those guys, it really helps a ton.
What has this been like for you adapting from the late models to the K&N cars? I know it's been kind of, a relatively quick trial by fire, so to speak, where, as you mentioned, you didn't expect to go in and run the full season, and now here we are, 3 events in, and the transition seems to be going well.
Yeah, well, it's all really new to me. It's a lot different, these full body stock cars. I'm out of the legend cars and stuff, so I've probably had about 10 races in a stock car now. It's a lot different, so still learning that stuff and trying to pick up as much speed as I can at the same time.
Can you talk a little bit about going? Are you going to do anything outside of the K&M Pro Series car this year, or are you just focusing on that particular division?
Yes, sir. So right now we're actually also running some selected races in the Cars Tour Series. So running the late model stocks on that side. Next weekend, actually, I'm running a local race at Motor Mile just to try to get prepared for the Cars Tour race coming up the following weekend there. So me and Taylor Gray will go up there and run that local race, and then we'll run the Cars Tour race up there. But the Cars Tour Series is really great for me just because it's really close racing, and the cars aren't exactly the same as the K&N cars, but they're pretty similar. Just heavy stock cars, but definitely a lot of good experience that I can get from running those late model stock cars.
So we're through 4 races now, and you're sitting tied for 6th in points, but you're only 21 points back of Derek Kraus, who's got the points lead right now. Do you let yourself think about that right now, or is it a case of just chasing a victory and seeing where the points fall and letting that kind of take care of itself as the finishes improve?
Yes, sir. Well, honestly, I've been thinking about it a little bit too much, and I need to kind of let that kind of try to forget about all the points and just get out there and start getting some better finishes and definitely some wins, because I know to win the K&N championship and get to the lead, I'm going to have to start stringing together some wins, and that's really the only way to go get that points lead. So we're kind of far out right now, but I definitely think it's doable once I step up and start making some stringing together some better finishes.
What do you think it's going to take for you to get up and start winning some K&N starts? I mean, it's not an easy series, obviously, but you've got a really good team behind you, and all the right people around you. I think it's just a matter of experience, right? Just being able to go out there and be comfortable and have that one day when everything just goes the way that you want it to go.
Yeah, that's right. Kind of how it's been in the K&N series right now. I've been getting in the K&N car about once every month, so that's tough. But as we get into the summertime, we'll have some K&N races coming up, once every 2 weeks or once every week. So once I get going with that, I think that'll help a lot, just being in the K&N car more often.
Sure.
But also just the confidence that comes with that, running some more races. But I feel like we've had the speed, we just haven't had the right circumstances. So needs maybe a little bit of luck on our side, but I know that we have the speed in the car, and we've been qualifying pretty good. So we just need to happen for us. I'm pretty confident that we'll get some this year, but everything just has to go our way.
So correct me, Drew, if I'm wrong, but Bono's been your crew chief for at least a couple of these races, right?
Actually, no, sir. The first race in New Smyrna for K&N, it was Derek Smith was on the K&N car. And then these last 2 races between Bristol and South Boston, Chris Lawson's been the crew chief.
Okay. So NASCAR's entry list is all confused, but I'll follow the same point because having Chris Lawson is almost as good as having Bono on top of the box.
And it's even more entertaining. I mean, let's
it
be
is
real
more
here.
entertaining. No, Chris is very entertaining. We know that from years of a Gilliland, but
yes.
What's that experience been like having Chris Lawson and being able to lean on him, knowing he's been around the block with this K&N deal a time or four?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. He really knows what he's doing, and I feel like I can really tell him what the car is doing, and he knows the right changes to make, and it's really been great. And it's not just the changes on the car; it's also a driving aspect and telling me when to save and when to go hard. And it's just really great being able to lean on somebody like that as a crew chief.
So you talked about, needing some small improvements to be able to get to the level where you can win races. I mean, do you guys feel like as a team you're close? Is there somewhere coming up here that you're looking forward to, thinking maybe you can break that streak and get in victory lane?
Yeah, we definitely feel like we've had the speed and that we've been pretty close. Like, for example, the first race this weekend at South Boston, we were running second, and I feel like if the yellow didn't come out, we would have had a good chance at maybe getting to the leader because we had saved our stuff a little bit and they had potentially run a little bit too hard. But I feel like if we wouldn't have had one of those cautions near the end of the race, that maybe we would have been able to get up to first and make a pass. But even if we didn't, we would have had a strong second place run. And then the second race, just because we didn't have the primary car, that hurt. But I feel like if we could have had we went green that whole race, but if we would have had a caution sometime near that, we would have had a better finish than sixth, just because we had been saving for most of that race. So it's just stuff like that hasn't really gone our way, but I feel confident going into Memphis. It's a little bit out, but I'll start focusing on that. And Derek Kraus had two really fast cars there last year, so I'm expecting to be good there, and I'm excited about getting to that racetrack.
Okay, real quick before we let you go, we know you don't do this by yourself, so give some shout-outs.
Oh yeah, well, just thanks to the DGR team. They're really bringing me fast cars every weekend, and couldn't do anything without them. They're helping a ton.
Well, Drew, we appreciate the opportunity to chat with you again, and we know that the best is yet to come for you, my friend. And so wish you luck the rest of the season, and we look forward to having you on again after you win your first race, and I know that's going to come soon.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me on.
That is Drew Dollar. We're going to step aside. When we come back, more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. We'll be right back.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this could be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves the majority of NASCAR, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Laurel fireproof underwear, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the staff at HMS is always ready to take the time and help you find the right product for your specific safety needs. You have family and friends who care about you, so don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Just stop in to HMS Motorsport, visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com, or send them a message on Facebook. Tell them the folks from Race Chaser Media sent you.
Everyone knows Strutmasters is the suspension experts for luxury vehicles, and now we offer motorcycle products. Introducing Easy Rider, complete motorcycle air suspension, brought to you by Strutmasters.com. You can raise and lower your bike with the flip of a switch. Take those long rides with the ultimate comfort of Easy Rider air shocks. They're backed by Strutmasters, and you won't believe the low price. Check out Easy Rider motorcycle air suspension at Strutmasters.com.
Hi, I'm Ben Rhodes, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. You can find them on the web at hmsmotorsport.com, and you should, by the way, because they've got a lot of cool stuff, and they are the experts in motorsport safety, no question about it. They're as interested in making sure that what you decide to purchase, whether it's from them or not, is actually the right product for your specific racing situation. So give them a call or visit them on their website and tell them the folks from Race Chaser sent you. Tom Baker and Jacob Seelman live with you on a Monday night, and also we've got Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch behind the glass doing all of the production chores that have to be done in order to keep a show live on the air.
It's a chore, that's for sure.
Yes, it has been a chore tonight for sure. Technology not on our side. We have Tim Thompson and we have Raven Crawford, among others, in our chat. And we appreciate everybody watching on our Facebook Live and listening live via via Performance Motorsports Network. I'll get this right. Okay, we've heard from Drew Dollar eventually, if you give me long enough. We heard from Drew Dollar in the last segment, and we've got two more guests coming up. We've got David Latour coming up shortly, who won the limited late model race at Ace on Friday night, and then we've got Derek Kraus coming up as well, a little later on in the program. Derek was one of the two South Boston K&M Pro Series East race winners. Go ahead, Jacob. You look like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I do. And I really kind of feel bad because I feel like all I've done so far is be negative Nancy. But
well, that's usually my job, but you did it well.
Yeah. And
I don't know. Maybe I just didn't. I mean, I admit I was working while I was watching Dover, so
yeah,
maybe
I'm not
the
on
multitask part of it was.
I'm not on Dover for this part of Negative Nancy. I'm actually on K&N Pro Series East action.
Okay.
For this part of Negative Nancy, and it's getting more and more and more and more concerning.
Okay.
But I'm sorry, guys. I get there's a merger on the horizon, and everybody's terrified as to what that's going to mean when we get to the start of next year. And
they ought to be.
This and that and the other. But I'm concerned right now because the fact that we can't pull but 17 cars for a South Boston race that for the last couple of years has traditionally been one of the best on the schedule is terrifying. to me. And it's not just confined to the K&M Pro Series East, but I feel like it was pretty evident just given that that was the series that was racing this weekend. I'm going back and looking at the first 4 races of the year. You had 19 at Smyrna, 19 at Bristol, which ought to be really terrifying.
Yes.
Because that race has traditionally had 25 to 30 cars. 17 for the South Boston Twins. That's not good. That's really, really not good. There's only 12 drivers who have run all 4 races on the schedule to this point, which I look at that and I go, this is bad.
I'm glad you kind of kept that silent there.
The good news is that 7 of our championship contenders are within 21 points. That's great, but when that's
not hard when you don't have a lot of other cars.
When that's 7 of 12 that have run all 4 races, it's not good.
I don't want to be the bad guy here, but this is really simple. Yeah, you started it. So if there's any folks from NASCAR listening to this on PMN Radio,
sorry guys,
or watching on our Facebook Live, then blame Jacob. But the fact of the matter, in my opinion is that I believe the fact is it's simply just too expensive. It's too cost prohibitive to run the K&M Pro E Series anymore. Yeah. NASCAR keeps pushing the boundary, and stretching the travel farther and farther outside of the circle here. And it's gotten to a point where you've got teams like GMS and DGR, and you had MDM last year, and you had H. Scott before that are commanding $750,000, $800,000 a year to run this series. And, Mitch Walker, who's in our chat. Oh, by the way, it's great to have Mitch in our chat and listening to the show. If you're listening to this on PMN Radio, don't touch the dial, because you're going to get a half hour of really cool music after our show's over tonight. And at 9:30 Eastern, you're going to get the Mitch Walker show. And if Mitch has got something to say, he's already said it. And Mitch is absolutely, that show is absolutely one of the finest shows that PMN carries. And it's a whole lot of fun to listen to Mitch every week. So make sure that you stay tuned at 9:30 Eastern every Monday night for the Mitch Walker show. But to his point, he says, could the rules protest be the reason?
I don't think so.
No. I don't believe it either. And the reason is because that happened so late, before the season started, and I think what he's referring to is the situation with
merger.
No, I think he's referring to, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Mitch, but I think he's referring to the whole deal with the 17 car and, the whole going to
Smyrna
and testing with, a K&M motor or whatever, an ARCA motor in it or whatever it was.
No, I don't buy that, because DGR Crosley has still fielded 2, 3, and sometimes 4 cars in these races to start the season. They're not trying to dismantle the series. They're trying to help keep it alive, even though, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty well on life support at this point.
Yeah, and the problem that I find with this whole situation is I think people are looking ahead to next year and saying, well, the cost is actually going to go up, because I've got to also run, if I'm going to run a full season, because there's only going to be half a dozen or 8 K&N races, and then they have this short track ARCA thing, and you're supposed to be able to run your K&N car in that, but
Correct,
the question
because
becomes,
they're going to go to they're going to go to the Ilmore motor package all across the board next year.
Yeah, and I just think it's going to end up costing everybody more. I think NASCAR has basically lost their way here with this whole development situation, because I think that they've bought into the idea that if you can spend $800,000, you can spend $1.5 million. There's a wide gap there.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to work well. I really don't. I think they needed to make the cost less, not more. And I don't think merging these series accomplishes that. Still running too many big tracks.
Well, stop and consider at this point. I'm just going to be the realist here and tell everybody exactly where we're headed. We're headed into a transition year in 2020 that's basically going to lead to the K&N Pro Series becoming happening exactly the same way as what NASCAR did with what's now the defunct NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour. It's basically a stopgap year, and at the end of 2020, when there's no interest because there's only half a dozen races, you kill it and be done with it. And ARCA is the only series similar to K&N that's left at that point.
Well, and that may be right.
But let me add to that, though. We've had both Ronnie and Dylan Bassett on this program in the past couple of weeks. Stop and consider, too, that those two brothers got to the point where they realized the cost was so high to run K&N that they could take that same amount of money and go run a decent NASCAR Xfinity Series program as they've done this year and perform extremely well with it. When you can go and run a decent Xfinity program on the cost it takes to run a full K&N season, you're spending too much.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, when we started, again, this whole thing is you've got Cup organizations and Cup technology in these series, and you can't compete with that. They can command top dollar because it's just a way better situation. And, ARCA's down this year, and K&N is down this year again. If I'm looking at trying to move up out of a late model, I'm going to go look at the Super Cup Stock Car Series, and that's where I'm going to spend my money because I can go take $50,000 and go win a championship there. And you're running a full-size NASCAR type stock car on short tracks and tracks like Jennerstown where you put 7,000 butts in the seats. And you've still got television. Now, granted, it's MAV TV, but you're running in front of more people in most cases in the Super Cup Stock Car Series than you are at a lot of the tracks where the K&N Series is running. They don't draw $7,000 to those races. And, I think that's really a tough situation right now. And I think NASCAR needs to get a hold of it and figure it out quickly, or they're going to have a big gaping hole in their development ladder come 2020. That's, so I think you brought up a legitimate point. With that, we're going to step aside. Of course, we've got more around the turn. We have coming up two actually guests coming up. David Latour going to be coming up around the turn. And we've also got just after the top of the hour, Derek Kraus will be joining us. More of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport right after this.
Everywhere you go, you hear it, and you see it. It's coming at you through your phone, your tablet, and your computer. It's broadcast from your favorite radio station, TV networks, and cable companies. It's in the stadiums, the arenas, the ballparks. It screams for your attention at the mall. It's interactive on Main Street. It's even coming at you from the gas pump at the nearby convenience store. What is it? It's digital content. It's digital content. It's digital content. Somebody has to create it. Somebody has to manage it. So whether your dream is to write it, design it, create it, call it, produce it, voice it, host it, light it, shoot it, switch it, record it, color correct it, edit it, code it, repurpose it, tweet it, blog it, post it, compress it, upload it, replay it, or make sure it gets to where it's got to go when it's got to get there in the format it's got to be in, you need to attend Carolina School of Broadcasting. The skills you will learn, the experience you will get, and the connections you will make at Carolina School of Broadcasting will open the doors to the career you want in digital content creation and digital content management. Call or come by today. Click csbradiotv.edu.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speeds, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control, and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Zane Smith, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. Also want to give a nod to our good friends at strutmasters.com for all of their support. Chip Lofton and his staff, of course, they've got a big car show coming up that we're going to be telling you more about on next week's show. That's coming up on Saturday, May the 18th. So we'll tell you more about that next week. But this is going to be as Ed Sullivan used to say years ago, a really big shoe. So should be fun. And also, of course, the folks from mycomputercareer.edu, training for a better life. And we appreciate them as well. Justin Sullivan joining us in our chat. As we circle back and talk Dover, we've got David Latour coming up in the next segment, Derek Kraus in the following one. But we'll spend this segment talking more about Dover.
Yes.
You were not very kind to the race earlier, and I guess you would give it a 2, and I'd give it about a 6. Maybe.
Oh, you're referring to the Cup race?
Yeah, the Cup race. So just to recap, for those who weren't with us in the beginning of the show, Jacob was not fond of today's racing action at Dover. And I was slightly more entertained, I think, than he was, which is kind of a swap from how it usually is. But where you want to go to Dover this time? Is Xfinity?
Yes, I want to go
truck?
to the Saturday Xfinity race, and note that I was slightly, and I say only slightly, more entertained by the Xfinity race because, well, at least there was a pass for the lead in the final 21 laps, even if it came on a restart with 14 to go.
Oh, yeah.
Couple of things to note here. Number one, Christopher Bell cashed another $100,000 check.
He did.
Big deal for him because he now has $200,000. Bad news.
Which is twice what he had before.
Correct. And here's an interesting statistic. This is, I believe, the first time in the history of the Xfinity Dash for Cash program that all 4 $100,000 winners have won the respective Dash for Cash race. Seabell did it twice. Reddick did it at Talladega, and Cole Custer also did it once. Now, the first 155 laps of Saturday's Xfinity race absolutely sucked. Absolutely awful. Sorry, Cole Custer.
Wow.
Love you to death, but you, sir, stunk up the show for 155 of 200 laps. Thank God we had a couple of cautions to actually shake this up at the tail end, because had we not, this would have just been an absolute slaughter as far as I'm concerned. But a few late race crashes at least made the ending somewhat watchable. And for Christopher Bell, I know he was very pleased by how it ended because he won and was able to cut into Tyler Reddick's championship lead by a decent bit. Reddick's still the points leader. Bell has it down now to 23 points. I think the bigger news is that Saturday's win was his 3rd of the season in just 10 races. Now, Steve, I have to thank Postman for this. He looked it up so I didn't have to, even though I would have.
For those who don't know, that would be Steve Post.
Yes, from MRN. And if he hadn't looked it up, I was going to, but he beat me to it. In his Xfinity Series career, Christopher Bell now has 11 wins in his first 51 starts. That is better than a 20% batting average. There are 3 other drivers in history that have 11 or more wins in their first 51 Xfinity Series starts. You want to talk about good company? Those 3 drivers, Dale Earnhardt, Harry Gant, Jack Ingram, and then Darrell Waltrip has 12. So 4 drivers. I can't count.
Let's take note that of those 4 drivers,
3 of them.
4 out of 4, I believe, ran for themselves or some other Xfinity team.
Right.
Did not race for a Cup organization. Only Christopher Bell, out of that whole list, I believe, actually got his 11 wins in 51 starts with a Cup organization. And Jacob will double check that.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check that. I'm not sure. I think
pretty sure.
Yeah,
you're gonna find that.
I think
Richard Childress never entered an Xfinity race. I don't believe.
No, I
as
think
a Cup team.
Well, if
Dale had his own car.
If you consider Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, well, he built it to a Cup team from the Xfinity Series. So it was not a Cup team when Dale was running it.
Correct.
It became a Cup team out of it.
Yes.
The driver I want to check.
G, I think, was actually the one building most of Dale's stuff, if I'm not mistaken. So.
But anyway,
I think that needs to be pointed out because I think that's relevant. Because not that I'm trying to take away from Christopher Bell so much as just
I think the thing to note for Bell is that he's had to beat multiple Cup drivers to win most of those 11 races.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to detract, but I think that is worth noting because again, I think there's. Since we've had the Cup teams in the Xfinity Series, if you look at the amount of races that those teams win from season to season and did, a 5-year average, it would be a majority.
Harry Gant drove for Ed Whitaker, who I don't think entered a Cup race.
No. That was the 7 car.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was the 7 car with Skoll sponsorship for most of that.
Now,
the direction I thought you were going in when you said that was going to be that that most of the others of those are now all in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Oh, by the way, Harry Gant's on the nomination list. He's not been inducted yet, but I feel like that's only a formality.
Yeah,
he will get there. But I still don't think it can be understated what Christopher Bell has done so far, frankly.
No, I don't want to take away from Chris Bell. Like I said, he's done a great job. And Chris, let's face it, Chris is one of the most talented drivers to come along in a while, I think. I mean, I would rank Chris Bell above Kyle Larson, and I don't even think it's close.
Easily.
I don't even think it's close.
Larson admits Bell's better than he is.
I mean, Chris is an amazing racer to watch. When and it's rare he makes a mistake. Once in a while, like anybody else, he'll mess up, but for the most part,
very rarely beats himself.
Right. And so, he's I said going into the season that I thought he was
the
lock,
prohibitive,
pretty much, for the championship, and he certainly hasn't disappointed me.
Nah, he's the prohibitive favorite at this point.
He should have won it last year.
Oh, easily. But, Tyler Reddick.
Well, and, to be fair, I think Tyler Reddick has proven this year
that was no fluke.
That was no fluke. He belongs as a championship contender, and I believe that he's gonna chase Chris Bell all the way to the end of this thing. And if the funding is right, he can get up to the Cup Series full time in the 31 car next year. I think that's exactly what happens.
Yes. Now, a couple quick notes, and then I want to shift to the Truck Series for a couple of minutes. Number 1, Ryan Sieg's impressive start continues. He finishes 11th, which isn't quite a top 10, but it's as close as you can get. Zane Smith was impressive to me with a top 10 finish. John Hunter Nemechek on a track that's tough to pass at ended up 8th after he and Zane wrecked coming to the checkered flag. Oh, by the way. Chase Briscoe continues to be super consistent, and as does Austin Cindric.
Cindric.
Yes. And And as far as I'm concerned, the top 4 finishers from Saturday's Dover Xfinity race are the 4 prohibitive favorites for the championship 4 right now. Christopher Bell, Justin Allgaier, Tyler Reddick, Cole Custer. That's my championship 4 until somebody proves me otherwise that I need to change it.
I would agree, but I will tell you what, Austin Cindric is one big breakthrough away from the confidence to go out and turn the aggression up just a little bit.
Yes.
And go get multiple wins. If he wins one, I think he wins multiples, and now you're talking Cindric right in the heat of that battle.
Yes.
I don't think he's very far away.
Yes, gotta win some races, though, first. On to trucks real quick.
Yes.
Because this, to me, was the most fun race of the weekend.
Shocking.
As truck races usually are. However, what was cool about this is Johnny Sauter got bragging rights. Johnny Sauter went out and spanked the pants off the driver that replaced him, and it was absolutely fun to watch. Brett Moffitt dominated the first stage, but as soon as Johnny Sauter got in control, Johnny Sauter basically stayed in control down to the end. I know we had a lot of different leaders during this race, but to me, this always felt like once Johnny got out to the lead for the first time there, right before the midpoint, that it was inevitable he would eventually get back there, and he did. And he ran away and won this race. And talk about a driver who needed a confidence boost. I think Johnny Sauter coming back to ThorSport and now being able to win a race with ThorSport again is a huge deal. This was much more than just his 3rd win in a row in a truck at Dover. This was a driver who needed to reestablish something with the team that he came back to. They've done that, and this win, as far as I'm concerned, makes Johnny Sauter the most dangerous driver in the Truck Series field right now. You give that man a bone and tell him to run with it, look out. This is the first of many for that team this year.
You think?
I do.
I
really do.
I certainly think it's possible. And again, like in any other situation, when you either go to something new or do something for the first time and you win, you now have more confidence. But I don't know if I'm ready to anoint Johnny Sauter the champion just yet. I think that this is the closest, deepest, most competitive Truck Series field from top to bottom we've ever had in the history. Well, I won't say ever had in the history of the series. Let's say had in many years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe Johnny is capable of more wins, but I don't think you probably ought to roll over on, because I think the next breakthrough is going to come out of Kyle Busch Motorsports, and I think it's going to be Harrison Burton. And if Harrison, and especially if Todd Gilliland can find a way, I think those two give it a win. Again, the performance elevates. And, I think it's a little early in the season right now to be saying that Sauter is suddenly going to go on this huge hot streak. But, yeah, definitely confidence, though. And that was a very, very good race.
Yes, it was. A couple things to chew on real quick before we go to break. Don't kill me,
Yep.
Randy. As you mentioned, Harrison Burton, I think, is the next closest thing to a breakthrough. 3rd was great for him. It was great to see him running up front. The reason I say Johnny Sauter is dangerous is because ThorSport as a whole is starting to look dangerous. All 4 trucks in the top 6 of that race on Friday is a humongous statement as far as I'm concerned to the rest of the field. Shout outs to both Derek Kraus and Tyler Ankrum. Great runs for both those teenagers. Derek in particular for putting up another top 10 run this season. I'm telling you, that kid in the right situation is something special.
And I think Tyler was top 10 as well.
Yes,
and
he was.
Had to
He was
rebound
ninth
from the back.
He did.
He had some adversity in that race.
He did.
And let's throw some sun to Sheldon Creed, too.
Yeah.
Who again showed that he's capable of winning a Truck Series race. Unfortunately, you have to be mistake-free, and it just seems like Sheldon struggles with that still.
He just
spun himself out on a restart.
And then got caught up in a crash later on that ultimately ended his day. Last prop before we go to break. Ross Chastain continues to do Ross Chastain things. 6
yes,
Truck Series races this year. 6 top 10 finishes. I'm sorry. That man next to Kyle Busch is the best thing in the garage area right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, he definitely is. No question. All right, we'll step aside when we come back. Going to talk some late models. That's fun with David Latour. Going to be joining us right around the turn. Derek Kraus coming up on deck after Dave. So stick around. Much more. Another hour of the Stock Car Show still to go. Presented by HMS Motorsport. We'll be right back.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem, and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication, but it's those tough choices that helped me prepare for challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, I'm Timmy Salmito, and you're listening to Race Talk on the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety. Tom Baker and, well, no Jacob Seelman for the moment. He'll be back in just a few minutes. Has stepped outside the studio, and we've got Randy Miller and Chris Murdoch on the other side in the tech shed doing all the production work for tonight. And we've got David Latour on the strutmasters.com hotline. And this is a first in a long while to have David back on one of our shows. And it's a great time to do it because David just won himself a race on Friday night at Ace. David, welcome back to the program and congratulations on a huge win. I've known you a long time, you and your family, worked with you for a few years. I know how big anytime you get to victory lane is for you and the family. So congratulations. And you ran a heck of a race, man. You were fast.
Thank you. Yeah, it was one of the better cars that we've had this year so far. But there's also a lot of room for improvement.
Oh boy. Well, if there's a lot of room for improvement after that one, you pretty much stomped a mud hole in the rest of the field. I think you would have probably lapped them if you had the car you wanted.
Yeah, with all the good help and the backing that we got this year, I think we'll be able to win a lot of races this year. We put a new clip on the car, and we put a lot of new suspension on the car, and let me tell you, it's really worked, and it's made this car come alive here, and we're still tuning her in. With my brother and Adam Eaton, them two, when you put them two together, and then they put a setup under the car, it's going to be pretty stout.
Well, you've definitely, you've been racing a while down here now, and you've run NASCAR late models, and then now you've got what's known as a limited late model, which really there isn't that much difference between the two. Um, but talk a little bit about what you feel like the late models, where they're at right now, because it seems like whether it's a limited or it's a late model stock or whatever, it seems like, in a lot of cases, the rules between the tracks aren't the same and the fields are sort of fractured. It just seems like it's kind of a rough time or an unsettled time for the late models in this immediate area of North Carolina. And, yet you guys managed to go out and find places to race competitively against good cars and still run up front. What do you see as kind of being the state of the late model division right now here?
It's hard to say. One year there's a great car count, next year there's not. It's really hard to say. I would love to go back late model racing if we could, but it's just with work and having a family now, it's kind of hard. But also we love the limited late model division. It's still extremely competitive division, and is also, as a family team here, it's also a lot more affordable for us. We can compete for wins like we are now, but these late models, these teams, they've got such big backing behind them, and it's just hard to run with them and hard to compete with them sometimes also.
Yeah, it really is. Where are you doing most of your racing? I know for a while you were, I think, running South Boston quite a bit.
Yeah, 2016 and 17, we ran limited late models at South Boston. We won 2 races up there in 2017. Basically led the points the entire season and lost the championship on the last race.
Wow.
But, yeah, that was hard to swallow. But last year we ran Ace Speedway, finished second in points, and this year we're gonna run Ace Speedway again. It's a good Friday night short track. And it's what my family's work schedule. It actually comes in pretty good, and it works really good with our schedules.
Well, that's good. So, I mean, it's Ace is definitely. I know it's got some different management this year, different people involved there, but it's one of my favorite tracks in North Carolina. Really, really tight bull ring kind of track, but beautiful facility. I mean, it just very well run. So it's good, and I think isn't that technically about the closest to where you live as well, other than maybe Hickory?
Yeah, pretty much. Robert and Jason Turner, they have done a remarkable job turning that track around. Actually, I don't know if they purchased it or whichever, but they've done a remarkable job putting money into that track, turning it around, and let me tell you, if they're going to be there for a long, long time because they're doing one heck of a job. They're really fair. They're real good people. They come around and greet you and tell you thank you for coming, and they're just really, really good people.
Well, that's what you want. I mean, if you're going to run weekly at a track, you want promoters that appreciate the drivers, and of course, both sides have to work together in this day and age, and I don't think we see enough of that anymore in short track racing, period. It seems like one side's always trying to kind of pull against the other, and each side is quick to disagree. But when I was there the other night, it just didn't feel like there was any of that. It felt like, there was a great crowd there. They of course, the Cars Tour gets good crowds pretty much wherever they go, but I mean, it really was an enjoyable night to be at the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's been the last year and a half. Like I said, they make you feel welcome. They make you feel like you're at home, and they put on one heck of a show. So I think we'll be there for a few more years to race, and hopefully one of these years win a championship there, and maybe 2 or 3, and to see where things go.
Well, you've already won a race early on in this season, so you're off to a pretty good start toward a championship. Who do you see as being some of your biggest competition if you're going to go out and be successful in winning the title at Ace?
Oh, well, we're going to have some luck. We need to have a lot of luck this year. We missed opening day. I had a back injury and I was not comfortable on running. So we missed opening day, but it was still doable to try and get it. We just got to make up that deficit and see how things pan out. I mean, it's just we need to win races and have some luck on our side. And the people that we have, that are pretty good there this year is Gary Young. I know Boo Boo Dalton will be there part-time. I think Penn Krim is the other one. He's pretty good there. It's a decent field there too. There's a whole bunch of rookies coming up, and they're learning. They got to start somewhere, so they're learning. And I know by the end of the season there'll be a threat as well.
Well, no question about that. And missing a race generally, if there are enough races, is not as big a deal. You feel like the law of averages. Your competitors are going to have one off night, but like you said, you need to go out and be able to win some more. I know that you got some people that really have kept you going over the last several years. And so I want to give you an opportunity to give some shout outs for who helps you make all this happen.
Yeah. First and foremost, it's my family, my mother, father, brother, my wife, for letting me keep on doing this. Also, I have Lindley Plumbing and A Better Grade by Kevin Neal out of Walkertown. I've known Kevin and Lori for quite a few years now, and I've helped them quite a bit. I've helped them a good bit last year at Bowman Gray, where he won his first championship, and it was an honor to be a part of that. That was pretty neat to see him do that. Being a close friend of his, that was pretty awesome. So now they're helping us on Friday nights, and we're helping him at the stadium at the Madhouse on Saturday night. So it's a pretty hectic schedule, but we're gonna make it work, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. And as just like Dave said, like Lori and Kevin said, we're gonna be doing a lot of trophy hunting this year.
Well, that sounds like the way to go. And anytime you can spend your Saturday nights at Bowman Gray Stadium, there's never anything wrong with that. If we can get Mother Nature to cooperate, they might be able to get some shows in this year.
Yeah, that's been the bad part there. As I think this is week 4 they're going on, and they only ran one race so far.
Yep.
This weekend ain't looking much better. So hopefully Mother Nature will turn it around here at the end of the week.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Well, David, it's been good to talk with you for a little bit, and congratulations on a win. I know anytime you get to victory lane, that's big for you and your family, and you're a heck of a shoe. And it was good to be able to watch you go get a checkered flag. So keep it up, and we'll get you back on the show a little later in the summer.
All right, thank you very much.
That's David Latour, and we're going to step aside when we come back. We go from David to Derek, as Derek Kraus will join us right around the turn to talk NASCAR K&M Pro Series and a victory that he had at South Boston over the weekend. We'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, right after this.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Automotive technicians and auto service trainees, how would you like to work at the beach and perform for one of the best car care centers in the nation? Lewis Meineke is now looking for skilled automotive technicians to join their award-winning team. If you're a gearhead that knows his or her stuff, or a young up-and-comer that has the motivation and drive to succeed, then you need to make this call today. 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center, located in beautiful Lewis, Delaware, offers a highly competitive compensation plan, great benefits, a flexible schedule, and did we mention that you're going to be working at the beach? Plus, there's a signing bonus for the right candidates. Technicians must be ASE certified and have a minimum of 6 years experience. Beginners advance at your own pace in one of several entry-level positions. But whatever you do, don't wait. These jobs will go fast. Call Tim at 302-827-2054. That's 302-827-2054. Lewis Meineke Car Care Center. Rev up your career.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
How to deal with someone who says that's so gay. Outsmart them.
This party is like so gay. Totally.
Excuse me, but did you ladies know the word gay used to mean happy or excited? Then it became a word used to describe gay people. Then somehow it came to mean dumb or stupid, which is how you just used it, which is not very nice.
Ew, that guy is on the football team and super smart, and he totally hates us now. Totally.
When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off. Learn more at thinkbeforeyouspeak.com.
This is Anthony Alfredo, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network. Now back to the show.
It's kind of glorious music, isn't it, for Anthony? Fast
Something like
Pasta,
that.
yeah, it's sort of just this, glorious sort of re-entry. And welcome back to the Stock Car Show. And it's sort of fitting that we'd have a glorious re-entry because we've got a driver on the strutmasters.com hotline who did a glorious thing over the weekend.
He won.
And picked up a win at South Boston in the K&M Pro East Series. Derek Kraus, welcome back to the program. We always have fun with you anytime we get a chance to chat with you. Congratulations on a big win in one of the two races on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Try again, Tom. His race was on Sunday.
Sunday, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. Mother Nature again.
Yeah.
You won the one on Sunday. Tanner Gray won the race that they got in on Saturday. They're supposed to be twin races.
Yes.
They had to split them one each day because, rain.
that did happen, but it's interesting the way this shook out, Derek. And I know we talked about Dover with the Cup race earlier not being an easy track to pass on. I'd argue South Boston isn't the easiest track to pass on either. And you came from 9th to win the second Twin Run 100 that was kind of sort of spread over 2 days. You started it on Saturday before the rain came and finished it on Sunday, but you didn't really take command of this race until the second half. I mean, talk us through what became the Sunday race, and you guys put in all the pieces together.
Yeah, just definitely changed from night to day. I mean, it was a huge difference between racing during the day and then racing at night, just because of all the grip level and the heat that was on the racetrack. So I just need to stay patient at last about 80 laps that we had on Sunday. So you need to stay patient, and that's what I did. And I took the lead with about 50 to go and never looked back.
Were you surprised that once you guys went back green on Sunday that it never went yellow again? Because I fully expected some more full contact racing, shall we say, and yet everybody kept it really clean, and it turned more into a bit of a conservation race than necessarily just a lot of beating and banging.
Oh yeah, I mean there wasn't very many cars left, so it wasn't. I mean, everyone had their heads on good, so everyone just stayed clean. There wasn't a lot of contact, like you said, so the racing was clean, and it just kind of got spread out at the end, and just we were saving a little bit in case there was a yellow at the end, but really everyone was spread out, and there was no one really close to each other at the end of the race, so that worked out good.
How big a turning point was this for you guys, Derek? Because you and I talked at the end of Bristol, and knowing how close you were in the points battle, there was the thought for a while of, okay, we're going to go to South Boston and see what happens. You leave South Boston, and now you are the points leader. Is this the shot in the arm that you needed to really say, okay, we're in this for the long haul now?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's quite in stone yet. I mean, we got Memphis we were going to for sure. In the beginning of the year, we already had that one on our schedule. So we'll go to Memphis here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll go on for after that race, depending on how it goes.
But it's at least confidence, though, that you that you get to go into Memphis and say, "Hey, we're the points leaders finally."
Yeah, that definitely is really good after the first race win at South Boston.
For you, what has the early portion of this season been like? I know there's been a lot of ups and downs, obviously, but to have 2 race wins in the first 4 races of the season, where's your head been? How much of a fight back has this been over the last couple races? I mean, Smyrna was a high, then we went to Bristol and it was kind of not what you wanted, and now it seems like you're back on the high again.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a good confidence booster, momentum booster winning at South Boston for the next few races. We got Tucson this weekend, so we'll have to work hard, and the team will dig deep just to have a good run there at the Twin 100. So we'll have to stay clean throughout the rest of the season. I feel like we'll have a really good card everywhere we go.
Talk about Tucson a little bit for our audience, because I know there are people who aren't going to be familiar with that track, and that is, to me, one of the more interesting tracks that you guys run out west.
Yeah, that track is, I mean, you can run 34 wide there pretty easily, and it's got one of the things that it doesn't have is grip. I mean, it's got no grip at all throughout the race. So, being a 100-lap race, you think it's a sprint, but it's far from that. You got to save as much tire as you possibly can just for the end of the race, and pretty much whoever saves the best is usually the winner that comes out on top at the end of the race.
That's why I like it, because it takes a lot of driver discipline to be able to get through that race and be in position and have enough left to win. Is that something you feel like is becoming a strength for you?
Yeah, I feel like we're places that we got to go save tires. I feel like our team really, I feel like I'm pretty good at that, saving tires. So I like going to places like Tucson or Memphis is another one where you got to save the right front and save the right rear for the end of the race. So I'm really looking forward to them next 2 races, and hopefully we'll come out on top again.
Is it any benefit for you, Derek, that you go into the twin races at Tucson right off twin races at South Boston, just from a standpoint of knowing kind of how the format works a little bit? Or is that one of those things that you just go in and it happens and you don't need as much preparation for it?
I think it's just one of those things where you just go in and you don't need a lot of preparation for it. Just the one thing you got to know for that first race is you got to race that same car the second race. And if you wreck that first race, you got mid-team have a lot of work to do to get that second car ready for that second race. And really in between races, there ain't a lot of time. So it's definitely tough if you do wreck the first one. So hopefully we can stay clean and just be there at the end of both those races.
Points leader in the East. You're 3 points back of your teammate Haley Deegan for the championship lead out west. Which points battle are you thinking about has been more on your mind through the first couple months of the season? Do you let yourself think too much about the East situation right now, or has your brain mostly been focused on the West side?
I mean, really, it's just, of course, I want to run as many races as I can in one season. So I focus on the East Championship so then we can go out west, go east and race more races throughout the year. But definitely when we get to the racetrack, I feel like the points championship's kind of in the back of our minds. You really think about it. If we perform well like we should, and if we do finish in top 5, top 3 every single race, the points should take care of themselves. So we just got to have consistent races and just be there at the end of every single race, and I feel like the championship and points will do its own thing then.
You seem so much more comfortable this year in the K&N series. It feels like, last year kind of a learning year, get to know things a little bit. Now this year you just seem like you feel like you can go anywhere and win a race. Is that really the case for you?
Yeah, I think so too, just because my team's behind me so much. this year. Not saying that they weren't years before, but they're just everyone. This is their third year together, so we're all really good friends. We all communicate really well. So I feel like when you're on a race team, you need to be able to communicate really well, and I feel like that's what our team is good at. So we're going to the races, we're pretty good right when we unload, and that helps a lot.
I feel like that's carried over pretty well, not just for you on the K&N side, but over to the truck side as well so far this season. Had a really solid run at Dover on Friday. Came away with your second top 10 finish in 3 starts. What was Dover like? What did you feel like that experience was for you? And I imagine it felt really well to come away with that 8th place finish.
Yeah, Dover, it's its own animal. There's nothing like Dover. It's a crazy racetrack. But Kevin Latour, my crew chief for that, prepared me a really good truck. And when we go to those races, we got to perform on a top level, and that's what we did on Friday. So we finished in top 10, which is really good for our team in just our 3rd start. So I'm really looking forward to the end of the year. We have a few more truck starts, and then I turn 18 and do my first mile and a half.
You called it its own animal. I mean, what was that first experience of Dover over the weekend like? I mean, was it eye-opening for you when you got out there for the first time and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hello?
Yeah. I got a little taste of it in the K&N car last season, just so I knew kind of what it was like going into it, which helped a lot, I feel like. So once I got out there the first time in the truck, it was definitely eye-opening again. I mean, there's a lot of throttle time in here. You're not really off the throttle a lot at all. So it's definitely its own little animal, and it's really fun to race at.
You mentioned Kevin Bellicourt. We talk about driver-crew chief relationships a good bit, but how big has it been to have him in your corner calling the shots in the Truck Series this year?
Yeah, he's helped me a lot just throughout the season, and even on the K&N side. Him and John, my crew chief on the K&N side, they've been both very helpful in the truck and the K&N. So if it wasn't for them, I don't think we'd be running as good as what we are. So you just got to thank them a lot. They do a really good job of what they're doing.
Want to give you a chance to shout out to all of your sponsors and talk a little bit. I know there's a long list here now that you've gotten into the Truck Series as well of people and partners that make it possible for you to get to the racetrack each week.
Yeah, for sure. Just the Enos, which is on the truck, and Napa and Toyota, a big supporter of me, so that's really good. And everyone that helps in the shop or out of the shop or wherever we are at the racetrack. So I just want to thank everyone that supports me in my racing.
Before we let you go, I am curious real quick. When's your next late model race? I know you've got a couple of those on your schedule this year.
Yeah, my next one will be May 18th at State Park Speedway for an Midwest Tour race.
That'll be fun. I know you're looking forward to get back in the Midwest Tour, kind of where you first got on the map, Derek. Always appreciate the time and definitely look forward to seeing you continue and hopefully chase not just the West Championship, but continue fighting this East title fight as well.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having me.
That's Derek Kraus. And with that, we step aside just for a moment. When we come back, we've got more to talk about and possibly fight and argue about, too, because that's kind of what we do here.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Well, Jacob's got something up his sleeve. We'll see what it is when we get back around the turn. More of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsport safety, right after this.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right. It's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes. On Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
HMS Motorsport is the leader in motorsport safety. HMS serves a majority of Monster Energy NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Camping World Truck, IndyCar, and IMSA WeatherTech teams, as well as countless SCCA and club-level racers and driving enthusiasts throughout North America. Featuring world-renowned brands like Schubert helmets, Schroep belts, Adidas suits and shoes, Lifeline fire systems, and even Racecom radio kits, HMS has the right product for your type of racing and your budget. Their representatives are experts on only one thing, making your track driving as safe as possible. With locations in Mooresville, North Carolina, and Danvers, Massachusetts, the HMS staff is always ready to take the time to help you find the right product for your safety needs. Don't settle for second when it comes to motorsport safety. Stop in to HMS Motorsport. Visit them on their website at hmsmotorsport.com or send them a message on Facebook and tell them the folks from PMN Radio sent you.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Fight for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Cole Custer, and you're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
So, things that happened that I just want to mention because I'm particularly proud of this one. Anybody who didn't see the first episode of Cole Custer's Cold Custard review a couple weeks ago, well, there was a sequel. And we kind of sort of inspired it because we were discussing in this studio that Cole needed to go visit a shop that you and Chris discovered a few weeks ago.
Yes.
I dropped it on Twitter to him, and he took us up on it.
Oh, well, good for you. That's great because he needed to do that since Cole. Now, and again, some background for those of you listening to or watching the show. It's always been kind of an in-joke that Cole Custer becomes Cold Custard. It's just a name, and, you know, people will play on the name. So Cole finally decided to take this and run with it. He's been doing reviews from custard places. And so he went to Witt's Frozen Custard. And if you're in the...
He went to the Davidson location, by the way.
Yeah, the same one Chris and I have been to a couple times. But this is Witt's Frozen Custards. There's actually, I think there's about 40 of these all over the Southeast. But there's one in Concord, one in Davidson, which is right outside Charlotte. Both of those are right outside Charlotte. And so if you're in the area, go check them out because absolutely the best chocolate milkshake I've ever had in my entire life. They put Dairy Queen to shame, and that's going a ways. But yeah, so it was kind of fun that we actually inspired that. You seemed like there was something that you wanted to discuss that you thought might inspire some disagreement amongst our cast here. So I'm going to let you go ahead and have some fun with that.
Dear Fox, please don't sue me for plagiarism on this one. But I'm going to borrow an idea just because I love it.
Well, I don't think you can be sued for borrowing it if you give Fox credit for it.
Yeah, I'm going to give him credit because this is one of my favorite portions of the Race Hub program during the week and even during the pre-race show. on the weekends. It's a similar format to one that we've used during our lightning round multiple times before. I just like the way it sounds better, so I'm borrowing it, Fox. Just warning you ahead of time. We're going to play hit the gas or pump the brakes.
Oh boy, okay.
Which, for those who haven't paid attention to our lightning round before, is similar to our buy or sell format. It just sounds cooler, so we're going to go with it.
Hit the gas or pump the brakes. Okay.
Yes, and I want to involve Randy in on this, so I'm glad you have your microphone over there, Randy. Good. All right.
Randy Miller.
I want to start in the truck series here, just because there's lots of things to talk about. Brett Moffitt will win his first race of the season at Kansas this coming weekend. Are you hitting the gas, Tom, or pumping the brakes?
Wow. I will pump the brakes on that, because Kansas is a track that I feel like could very easily be a KBM track if we could get either Harrison or Todd to just break through and have a complete day. Harrison had a third place finish at Dover. So I think he certainly could win, but I'm just not betting on him over the field in this one.
Randy?
I'm going to say pump the brakes, because I feel like that team is missing something right now, and I don't really know what it is, but I feel like there's something that they're lacking right now. And I haven't put my finger on it yet, but until they figure that out, he's not going to win. He may get some top fives, but he's not going to win.
Can somebody explain to me exactly what they're lacking here? My response to both of you is I'm hitting the gas to the floorboard, and we're going to see Brett Moffitt in victory lane this weekend at Kansas.
Okay.
Why? He's either wrecked out or had damage in 2 races. The other 4 this season, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, and 2nd, and he also scored his first pole at Dover. So I'm not sure what they're missing, but he's been in contention all the way, and I promise you, finishing second to Johnny Sauter not only made Brett mad, I can promise you it motivated him, because I don't think there's anybody in the field right now that he wants to beat more than Johnny Sauter, because he wants to prove he's better than the guy he replaced. So I say Brett Moffitt has the motivation and the speed in that truck to get the job done this weekend.
I'll tell you what he's missing based on the stats, Randy. He's missing a win.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think I just figured it out when he said that.
Yeah.
He's missing the win.
He's missing a win. I do think he'll get it eventually. Maybe it will be at Kansas. I'm just, again, on this track where the trucks can run 3 wide if they want, I'm not betting on Brett Moffitt over the field. I think he's got as good a shot as anybody, but I'm not making him a lock.
All right, so I'm going to stick with the truck theme for a minute and go to, as you mentioned, the KBM stable. And I'm not going to circle Kansas specifically in this question.
Okay.
Harrison Burton beats Todd Gilliland to victory lane this season. Hitting the gas or pumping the brakes?
I'm hitting the gas on that one, because at the rate they're both going, I mean, Harrison had a very respectable 3rd place finish at Dover. I definitely see Harrison winning before Todd. I'm hoping both of them win before the playoffs so they can both get in. But I definitely see Harrison winning before Todd does.
Randy.
Can I do both? Is it bad to hit the brakes and pump the gas?
I think that's called trail braking.
I know that blows up a motor of a car.
It's trail braking.
I mean, it's not physically impossible, but
I don't know. I feel like Todd's had some bad luck, and I feel like if he gets the luck, out of his system, then he'll visit victory lane. It's just, both of them are going to win this year. I just can't decide which one's going to win first. That's why I said that.
Chris is pacing back
Randy's
there. Do you
gonna
have
sit on the
something to
fence.
input here?
I'm dropping the brick on the gas pedal and leaving it there.
So Chris thinks Harrison's going to win first, too.
See, Chris and I are in the same boat, and I'm 2 for 2 on smashing the gas pedal, because what that 18 team showed me is they're ready to win. They just need a couple of lucky breaks during the race to fall their way. They've got the speed, they've got the driver, they just need the luck now. They're really close, and I believe absolutely Harrison beats Todd to victory lane. The fact that Todd finished 15th, barely on the lead lap at the end of that race, is cause for extreme concern as far as it looks to me. Now, final on the truck series before we move forward on this. All 4 ThorSport trucks that are running full-time this year, for those who are wondering, that's Johnny Sauter, Grant Enfinger, Matt Crafton, and Ben Rhodes. All 4 full-time ThorSport trucks make the playoffs this year. Hit the gas or pump the brakes?
Pump the brakes.
Okay.
I do not believe that all 4 of them will make the playoffs. And I got to be honest, I'm bearish on Ben Rhodes right now. I need to see Ben get up there and get a win. I feel like that team, I don't feel like they're slow or anything. I just feel like that's a team that just hasn't quite found their stride just yet. And it's a competitive series. I see Johnny Sauter making, obviously he's already in the playoffs. I would definitely see Matt Crafton making the playoffs in whatever way that he needs to. Enfinger's been fast, and Ben's been fast, but I don't know. I don't see all 4 of them making it. It's too much of a competitive series this year.
I'm interested that you say that because Ben Rhodes is actually ahead of Matt Crafton in points right now.
Yeah,
Randy.
I know.
You know what? Matt Crafton concerns me a little bit because he hasn't, he's had the last couple of years, he hasn't really been as strong as he has in years past. But I feel like ThorSport to me is kind of like Hendrick. Once they figure something out, they're going to roll with it, and everybody's going to be on the same page, and they're going to be a dominant force. So I'm going to hit the brakes. I say all 4 of them make it.
I'm pumping the brakes too. Wait, Randy, you just contradicted.
Whatever.
Yes,
whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah, don't hit the wrong pedal.
Yeah,
especially going into a corner.
At least I'm remembering to turn. Jacob has yet to turn. He's been hitting the gas for 10 minutes and hasn't turned yet. That concerns me a lot.
Well, I'm pumping the brakes on this one, and it's because of the driver that you just circled, Randy. I don't believe Matt Crafton makes the playoffs because he's shown me nothing that he can get to victory lane. Until that team gets back to victory lane, I'm very nervous about that 88 truck. That's my 2 cents. Xfinity Series now. We're gonna shuffle to that, and then I want to continue this as we go into what would be the formal lightning round, just because I'm having fun with this right now. Through 10 races in the Xfinity Series, as we mentioned earlier, Christopher Bell has 3 victories. So my first question here is, Christopher Bell is the prohibitive championship favorite. Hit the gas or pump the brakes?
Oh, I would easily hit the gas on that, and I would be very comfortable in doing so. I think Chris Bell is absolutely the favorite, and I've said from the start of the year that I thought that the road to the championship goes through Chris Bell and JGR, and I still believe that. I think Chris is definitely the guy to beat. Again, not to say because of the format that somebody else can't get hot and catch fire when it counts, but right now I see it's Christopher Bell's championship to lose.
Randy?
Are you kidding me right now? Just cut my brake line. I don't even want brakes at this point if that's the question. Christopher Bell's going to be the champion. There's no question about it.
Murdoch's smiling.
I'm pumping the brakes.
Oh boy. Thank you.
He was on this roll last year and gave it away when it counted, so I say that history is bound to repeat itself. I say somebody pops up who we haven't seen yet, like Tyler Reddick did last year, and take it.
See, I'm pumping.
Could be Tyler Reddick.
I was going to say, I'm pumping the brakes, but it's not because of somebody we haven't seen. It's because of the guy we have seen already. I believe Tyler Reddick right now, I don't care what the win column says, Tyler Reddick has been the most consistent force in the Xfinity Series, period, bar none. He just only has 1 win to show for it. As far as I'm concerned, the Deuce right now is the championship favorite, and Christopher Bell's got work to do. He needs to win about 5 more of these before we get close to Homestead, before I'm willing to buy it, and that's if Tyler doesn't win 4 or 5 more in his own right.
I predicted 7, so we'll see where he gets
The only race that matters is Homestead.
Exactly, well, and we saw what happened last year.
Yeah, but see, that's kind of my whole thing this year is, okay, Tyler sort of stepped up and won when it counted last year at Homestead. I think Chris Bell has learned from a lot of his mistakes last year, and I think this year, if you're going to make somebody a favorite, you got to make it the guy that really you look to win more races than anybody else in the series, and that's Chris Bell. I don't think you're going to consistency your way into the championship this year. You got to win races. We'll be back with more of the Stock Car Show presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders of motorsports safety, right after this.
When do you think of a plumber? Like most people, even if it's an emergency, you can be confident about who will arrive to help you. For quality and reliability, count on someone you can trust. Call on the plumbing services of Hague Quality Water of Maryland. Plumbing doesn't have to be an emergency. We handle all kinds of preventative maintenance too. Hague Quality Water of Maryland is family-owned here in Annapolis since 1993. For a refreshing choice, call us at 888-84-WATER or visit us online.
Here at Lewis Meineke, we're more than just your average car care center. Hey, it's Dave, your neighbor from Lewis Meineke. Whether you need an oil change, brakes, tires, or anything under the hood, we've got you covered. Take advantage of our free check engine light service as well. Yes, free. And don't forget about our free shuttle service. Never stress, we'll take care of the rest. On with life. Give us a call at Lewis Meineke, 302-827-2054.
Is your job sucking the life out of you? Wake up! You can do something else. Information technology. I know what you're thinking, but I'm not a math and science person. No problem, and no excuses, because it's not rocket science. It's My Computer Career. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. You can start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. mycomputercareer.edu. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Cody Connor, and you're listening to Race Chaser Radio. Now back to the show.
I think that's called the Tiger Stripes Blues.
Something like that.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Show. For those who don't know, it's a Cody Connor joke. Welcome back to the Stock Car Show, presented by HMS Motorsport, the leaders in motorsports safety. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Randy Miller, Chris Murdoch over there, behind the camera.
Over there.
In the tech shed doing production stuff.
Yep.
And Jacob, you're having some fun with hit the gas or pump the brake, which is basically buy or sell.
Yeah. I am having fun with this. I kind of feel like Shannon Spake, except, well...
she's way better looking than you. Just
no kidding.
Just saying. But go ahead.
All right. So we had gotten to the Xfinity Series before we went to our last break. So now that we're in our what would formally be our lightning round, we can keep this going here for a little bit and continue with our hit the gas or pump the brakes. And I want to stay on the Xfinity Series side for one more I got two more, because I was looking at the numbers and we're now 10 races into the Xfinity Series season. And easily the most pleasant surprise of the year has been RSS Racing and Ryan Sieg, who through 10 races is still averaging a 9th place finish, which is by far and away a career year for him. So hit the gas or pump the brakes on this one. Ryan Sieg wins a race before the start of the playoffs.
I'm pumping the brakes on this one. Ryan's a great feel-good story. I love everything about the way that Ryan started this season, but I feel like he needs a Jeremy Clements scenario on a road course or something to be able to I don't know that I feel like Ryan Sieg is going to outrace the junior cars, the Gibbs cars, et cetera, and so forth, and win. I feel like he needs a circumstance, maybe Daytona, something like that. But I'm pumping the brakes on that one, Randy.
I'm cautiously going to hit the gas because I feel like he's going to get a win, but I'm kind of like you in the whole, like, it's not going to be a dominating win. Like, he's not going to go out at Dover and lead 200 laps. But I feel like there's some situation somewhere, like in the middle of summer, like if we get towards the chase, where he's going to maybe make some sort of a gamble that's going to pay off and he'll win a race. Because when these guys get toward right before the chase of the cutoff, these guys are going to try to do whatever they can to get those last points to make the chase. And I feel like that's where he's going to shine, is doing something that no other team will do, and he'll accidentally, quote unquote, win a race.
Christopher's back there again.
Can I just like push the clutch or something? What? If we have a super speedway race come back, he can do it.
Okay,
well,
I'm gonna
you're either hitting the gas or you're pumping the brake.
We are messing this car up altogether.
Yeah, we really are.
There's no fence sitting here. We're not in Congress.
Then I'm tapping the brake.
All right. I'm reminding all of you 2 words: Daytona, July. I'm hitting the gas because I believe that Ryan Sieg, especially after 4th in February, I say Ryan Sieg goes to Daytona over the 4th of July and wins that race.
Wow. I hope you're right. I will be so happy to be wrong. And I think that's really his biggest shot because I just don't see him
Yes.
I don't see him having the speed to outrace the big guys on, say, a mile and a half. I think it's going to have to be a circumstance like a super speedway deal or a road course.
Well, in that same vein, I want that leads me into my last one on the Xfinity Series side. Ross Chastain, who was last year's feel-good story, currently sits almost a full race on points outside of the playoff cut line in 13th. He's 42 points back already, and we're only 10 races into the regular season. Daytona. So my question is, Daytona in July, is that Ross Chastain's last best shot to make the playoffs? Hit the gas or pump the brakes?
Is he in the 10?
We don't know yet.
That's the thing.
He's not scheduled in the 10, but then again, he wasn't scheduled to be in the 10 at Talladega, and we saw that he was in the 10.
If he's in the 10, then I'm hitting the gas. And if he's in the 4 car, I'm pumping the brake because I don't feel like running. I mean, unless he goes and wins that race in the 4 car, which I feel like is obviously it's possible, but it's not likely. I feel much better about his chances in the Colleague car. And I feel like going and finishing 3rd, 4th, 5th at Daytona, if you don't back that up with a bunch of other top 2s and 3s, I don't see how you make up a whole race.
Exactly.
In the next 15 or 16 races.
He's not had the stage points against Brandon Jones that he needs.
That's the thing. So I'm pumping the brake if he's in the 4. I'm hitting the gas a little bit if he's in the 10 because if he's in that car, I think he can win Daytona with no problem whatsoever.
Randy.
So I think we're all in agreement. He almost has to win a race to make the chase.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
playoff,
full,
Randy.
Playoffs. I mean, he's a full race behind. So I'm gonna pump the brakes because I don't feel like that's his last chance to win. But that's his best chance to win. And I feel like if he doesn't win there, it's going to be the same situation like Ryan Sieg, where he's going to have to accidentally win a race in order to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm going to hit the gas because
Ross
is a wheelman. I mean, if you look what he's doing with that 4 car, top 10, top 15, versus his teammates, top 20, maybe, if they can get there. I say in either car he could be a threat at a super speedway.
10-4. I'm actually, because we don't know that he's going to end up back in the 10 car, I'm going to hit the gas because of the way I worded the question. Because the way I worded the question was Daytona is his last best shot. And as far as I'm concerned,
see, I was going general. I guess I missed
and as far as I'm concerned, Daytona with where the points are now, Daytona is absolutely Ross's last shot to make the playoffs. And
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I love the kid. I really do. But
when you're almost a whole race back or over a whole race back,
you've got to be winning stages consistently to have a shot at that. And Ross just can't win stages in the 4-car. No disrespect to Johnny.
No,
but
there's
too much
quite good enough.
There's too much cup technology in the field. You and I have talked about that for years. So, all right, going to the cup side. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 7 of the first 11. The Joe Gibbs Racing train rolls on at Kansas. Hit the gas or pump the brakes. Basically, Joe Gibbs Racing car wins at Kansas. Hit the gas or pump the brakes.
Well, I'm going to hit the gas on that one because I feel like almost all of them are running well enough to be winning. I mean, I think we saw that today. I mean, Kyle didn't have a great day, but he certainly had some speed in the car. He just didn't get to run up front very much and bounced it off the wall before he could. But he was in there. Hamlin was strong. Eric Jones finished strong. I mean, I feel like they're all Truex won. So yeah, I'm hitting the gas of that. I think there's a better chance that a Gibbs car wins Kansas than not.
Randy?
I think we're all going to be in agreement here. I'm going to hit the gas because the only way to stop a train is to derail it, and I don't see anybody derailing the JGR train right now. So
no, I think Hendrick's actually getting close, but
shockingly
not there.
I'm slamming the brakes.
Oh,
wow. Okay.
There's a guy who, after today's race, got his mojo back in that 42.
Oh, he says Kyle Larson
goes and wins Kansas.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, Chris. I hate to be that guy, but I'm with the other two at the table on this one. I'm smashing the gas because as long as Kyle Busch is in the field as of late at Kansas, Kyle Busch is easily a threat to win. He's riding an 8-race top 10 streak at Kansas, and I believe he goes and smashes them this weekend. So, next question. Jimmy Johnson wins a race before the end of the year. Hit the gas or pump the brakes?
End of the year or before the playoffs?
Before the end of the year. I don't even care about the playoffs right now because Jimmy Johnson's not in the playoffs if they started today.
I'm hitting the gas. I believe Jimmy will win. I think that I actually think that when you start looking at tracks like Kansas, you look at a track like Texas, you look at a track like Martinsville, as we come back around. Yes, I think Jimmy Johnson, he's slowly getting better and better and better, just like his teammates are. Elliott's miles ahead of him. But I think Jimmy Johnson wins a race. If you're going to ask me, does he contend for a championship?
No.
No way.
No way.
I think I don't believe Jimmy Johnson ever contends for another championship as long as he drives again. He's not getting number 8. Randy?
Wow. I don't even know how to follow that up. I agree, though. I do agree that he's going to win a race because I feel, and I even said last week that I feel like Hendrick is getting better, and they're showing that they're getting better.
Yep.
And when they get to where they need to be, they're all going to be dangerous. But I feel like Jimmy's going to win a race, but it won't be while he's in the chase. So he will win a race outside of he won't make the chase, but he'll win a race in the chase, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Christopher.
I just messed the whole thing up.
Yeah.
I'm slamming the brakes, and I'm going to say this, and my Jeff Gordon fans are going to be like, because when the pairing was with Jeff Gordon and Alan Gustafson, if I could get that last name.
Gustafson.
Yeah.
Him.
I would have wanted to throw Alan out the window because of some of the pit calls he made, according to other Jeff Gordon fans. But now that him and Chase are together, I feel like they're the modern day Jimmy and Chad. And the Fox broadcast team said that today. They're the modern day Jimmy and Chad. And they're on a roll. And like Tom said, they're miles ahead of the rest of the Hendrick crew.
I am slamming the brakes all day long. And I'm going to get hate mail for this thought. But, sorry guys. I don't believe that Jimmy Johnson wins another race before the end of 2020.
Wow. Okay.
I am so far as to say.
So are you saying you believe that he retires the end of 20 and that's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe he wins again, and I believe he's done at the end of 2020.
See, I think he'll win a race
and
this year.
I cannot believe I would never believe 2 years ago that I'd be saying that right now. But when you go to Dover, a track where Jimmy has traditionally been the man, and he can't even crack the top 10 at the end of the day, that to me throws up every warning sign in the book. It's not good over there, and I just don't see any signs of it getting better. As I said to Chase after Talladega, and Chase wanted to deny it, that 9 team is absolutely carrying the mantle for Hendrick Motorsports
well, they are,
right now.
But I'll
the
tell
88's not too far behind them, though.
Yes, the 88's catching up, and the 24 is catching up,
Alex
too.
Bowman is going to win a race before I think Jimmy Johnson contends to win another race.
Already.
I think Bowman and Byron both win a race before Johnson. But I'm saying that I think all 3 of them will win before the end of the year, because I think they're improving that much.
Yeah, Jimmy has a backup career as a runner. So we're good.
He does. He does.
Maybe he'll win a Boston Marathon.
Maybe.
We just burned 30 minutes having fun.
Yeah,
that
we
was
did.
fun.
That
and
was
then
awesome.
Now it's time to say goodbye or say goodnight, Gracie.
It's sad. We were just
I know.
getting started.
We really were.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Take us out.
All right.
I'll give you the honor.
Well, thank you. Thanks to HMS Motorsport, mycomputercareer.edu, and strutmasters.com for what they do to make this show possible. And you can find us here on the Stock Car Show every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we hope you'll tune in later in the week on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for our sister Motorsports Madness show. Right now, though, what?
Mitch Walker coming
yes,
up
Mitch
at
Walker
9:30. Stay tuned.
We said don't miss it. Right now, for Tom Baker, Randy Miller, Chris Murdoch, I'm Jacob Seelman. Keep it off the wall, folks. And if you're headed to a racetrack, we might just see you there. Have a safe racing weekend.
Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Stay tuned to Performance Motorsports Network for more race talk. For the latest motorsports news, visit RaceChaserOnline.com. The Stock Car Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or a section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-host, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week when the Stock Car Show returns on Thursday night at 7 Eastern. Until then, stay tuned for more great motorsports programming on the Performance Motorsports Network.